The small town of Pine Hollow always looked picturesque at Christmas. Snow blanketed the ground, lights twinkled on every house, and the scent of pine and cinnamon wafted through the crisp air. But this Christmas Eve, an eerie silence hung over the town. Margaret Harper was driving back from the next town over, where she'd finished her last-minute Christmas shopping. It was nearly midnight, and the stretch of highway was empty. Her car's headlights illuminated the swirling snow, and her favorite Christmas carols played softly on the radio. As Margaret approached Pine Hollow, she noticed something strange. The lights in the town had all gone out. No warm glows in the windows, no festive displays, not even the towering Christmas tree in the town square was lit. She frowned, gripping the wheel tighter. A power outage, she thought. Strange, though, it hadn't been stormy enough to knock out electricity. Margaret turned onto Main Street, her car creeping through the darkened town. The streets were deserted. Not a single soul stirred, though she could see cars parked in driveways and decorations still hanging on doors. She parked in front of her house and stepped out, her boots crunching in the snow. The chill seemed deeper than usual, biting at her through her coat. She looked around, her breath clouding in the air. Something felt off. Suddenly, a sound broke the silence, a low, deep hum that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Margaret froze, her keys clenched in her hand. The sound grew louder, vibrating in her chest. Then, she saw them, figures, silhouetted against the snow, walking slowly down the street. They moved in perfect unison, their heads tilted downward as if searching for something. "Hello," Margaret called out, her voice trembling. The figures stopped. All at once, they turned their heads toward her, their eyes, glowing an unnatural red, pierced through the darkness. Margaret's breath caught in her throat. The figures began to move again, this time heading straight for her. Panic surged through her. She bolted for her front door, fumbling with the keys. Behind her, the humming grew deafening, the figures' footsteps crunching steadily closer. Margaret slammed the door shut and locked it, her heart pounding. She backed away, her eyes fixed on the frosted glass pane. The figures were there, their glowing eyes staring in. The humming stopped. Silence fell again, so heavy it was almost suffocating. Margaret held her breath, clutching the phone in her hand. She dialed 911, but there was no signal, no ringing, no static, just dead air. The doorknob rattled. Margaret let out a muffled scream, pressing herself against the wall. The rattling grew more violent, until finally, the door burst open. The figures stepped inside, their movements slow and deliberate. Margaret ran to the kitchen, grabbing the largest knife she could find. She turned to face the intruders, her hands shaking. "Stay back," she shouted. The figure stopped. One of them tilted its head, as if studying her. Then, in an impossibly deep voice, it spoke. "We have come for the light." Margaret's heart raced. What light?" The figure raised a hand, pointing to the Christmas tree in the corner of the room. Its ornaments glinted faintly in the darker light. It repeated. Suddenly, the tree's lights flickered on, casting a warm glow across the room. Margaret gasped as the figures' faces became clear. Their skin was pale and smooth, their features almost human but not quite. They had no mouths, no noses, only those glowing red eyes. As the tree lights burned brighter, the figures began to dissolve, their forms shimmering like heat waves. One by one, they vanished, leaving only a faint echo of the hum behind. Margaret stood in stunned silence, the knife still in her hand. The tree lights dimmed again, returning the room to darkness. The next morning, Pine Hollow awoke to find everything as it should be. The power was back, the streets were bustling, and the Christmas tree in the town square shone brightly. But Margaret knew she hadn't imagined it. The faint smell of ozone lingered in her living room, and her front door bore the unmistakable marks of a forced entry. As she joined her neighbors in the square, exchanging holiday cheer, she couldn't shake the feeling that the figures would return. And next time, they might not stop at the light.